He's our baby. What's that leg doing? What's that leg doing?
Hello and welcome back to my channel. Cat. I think she's trying to get more treats, but there are no more treats. She's had them. You can have this bit of paper. Want the paper? She's like, no, it's not edible, so. Hello and welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another vlog. I've got cat hair in my mouth already. What a great start. So I like to do my vlogs with a theme or like an author type thing as opposed to just like a weekly vlog because I can never commit to it and I'm always picking up too many things at once. So it does make it a bit more difficult when it comes to like editing it and going, what did I read this week, etc. So I quite like doing the whole themed vlog thing. So I have another themed vlog that I would like to do, and that is I want to do novels in verse. Now, some of these I have read before, some of these will be a completely brand new to me type thing, and others I have read stuff by this author before, but it will be like their most recent release, or I've just been stacking up novels in verse for a while. Olivia from Olivia Catastrophe kind of introduced me to novels in verse in the first place and then gifted me a couple of a couple that are in here, and I do really enjoy a novel in verse, and I feel like not enough people shout out novels in verse, so I want to do Olivia proud and read some really good novels in verse and then kind of shout them out to you throughout the weekend. So my plan is to read these over the weekend as opposed to over a week, but if life happens, as it so often does, I will just wrap these up as and when I get to finish them. But let's just go through them and I will tell you what I have and why I've picked them. So the first one is Punching the Air. This is one of the first novels in verse that I actually bought and I haven't read it yet, which is really bad. It is an audiobook over on Scribd and it's about a young artist and poet. It's going to be about gentrification, it's going to be about racism, it's going to be about some really hard topics. And I do find that with novels in verse, they hit me different to way a standard novel will. So I'm expecting this one to be incredibly powerful and poignant. I get the vibe that it's going to be very similar to The Black Kids, which was a YA novel that I read last year that I really, really enjoyed. Mixed probably with a little bit of Clap When You Land, etc. That kind of vibe. So really hyped for this one. Completely different. I have Nikita Gill's The Girl and the Goddess. I have somewhere, I have Nikita Gill's Great Goddesses, which isn't just a collection of poetry as opposed to a novel in verse. And I really enjoyed that, and it gave me a lot of food for thought with regards to how I view some Greek myths. I thought that was really interesting. And this is the hardback version of that I have, which has just like I don't know what it is about really subtle end papers like that. I just really enjoy that. But anyway, I'm really excited for that one. Good work, Hannah. I don't actually know a lot about the story. I bought this so long ago that I don't know what the narrative is, and I think I'm going to go into this one relatively blind. Also, I was hoping that I would have like a really nice background, but I've barely tidied up the living room, so this just is what it is. I will be rereading Clap When You Land and The Poetess, which are both by Elizabeth Acevedo. These were the two that I was kind of like the first novels in verse that I properly read, and the moment I read The Poetess, I then went out and bought Clap When You Land. Clap When You Land was bigger than Poetess was, but I really enjoyed this one because it very much looks at the Brooklyn life, like a relationship between a mum and her daughter when they don't really understand each other, whereas this one is shared trauma. This one broke my heart the first time, so I'm really looking forward to rereading both of those. If I run out of time at the end of the weekend, I probably won't reread them, but they are on the list to be reread if for whatever reason I'm not getting on with other books in this stack. I know I can trust these will be great, so I thought I would add those to the TBR anyway. Plus, it never hurts to read books again. Make sure that you still love them just as much, you know. I've got two Dean Atta books. So obviously The Black Flamingo was, I think, his debut novel in verse, which was all about being LGBT and internalized homophobia. And then we have his new chunky release, which is only on the weekends, which is why I thought I would start this over a weekend. I just thought that works really well. So I will be rereading this one and then reading this one. I don't think they're in a series. I just think that actually because they're Dean Atta ones, I will probably read them back to back. But I'm really excited for that one. And I really like that illustration. Looks really cute. That illustration looks really cute. That illustration is shiny. Like, it's just gonna be a good time. But I assume this is going to be like a proper LGBT romance, and I need an LGBT romance standalone for my book club, and I think it's going to be this one. So very excited for those. And then the next two are also the same author. We have Meg Rahan's Baby Teeth and The Deepest Breath. This is also in my Book Wanderers TBR, which hopefully will come out before this vlog does. So those two, they're really, really little. So I'll probably start with these ones. This one is a romance. It's an LGBT romance between a young girl and her vampire girlfriend. And then the final one that I have is Bernardine Evaristo's The Emperor's Babe. Now, Bernardine Evaristo obviously wrote Girl, Woman, Other, but she's written a whole bunch of other books, this being one of them. This is the one that she talked about when she came to my university to visit, and it was a really interesting discussion that she had around this young female protagonist who is just completely out of touch with her time and world, but also very modern, etc. And like, it just sounded really interesting, so I'm really excited with that one too. And almost all of these, I'm saying almost all because I don't know about Emperor's Babe, but I know that there's been LGBT rep in Bernardine Evaristo stuff before, so I wouldn't be surprised. All of these, I think, maybe this one doesn't, I don't know, I need to find out, have some kind of LGBT rep and certainly some kind of BIPOC rep. So I'm really, really excited for that as well because we love that. So yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and start those pretty much as soon as I'm done with all my chores for today. Like I said, I want to do some tidying. I want to make sure the living room is nice and neat so I can just enjoy it for the weekend. I need to go and do a food shop. I need to pack up some boxes because we had a sale on last week, which was great because it meant I cleared loads of stock, but also that I have loads of packing to do, so I have to do that. But yeah, so I will try and catch up once I am either midway through or have finished one of these, and chances are it will probably be these two that I start with as a kind of warm-up. But yeah, I'll catch up with you when I've actually read something. Okay, so I am nearly 100 pages done with The Deepest Breath, and it's really interesting considering it's novel in verse and the two books I'm about to compare it to are not novel in verse. It gives very much a kind of Spark and Me, My Dad and the End of the Rainbow type vibes in the way that it's very kind of, the character seems coded neurodivergent. I'm going to find out if the author is, because I think there may be a link there. Certainly in the way that they process information, their fixations on things, etc. And the LGBT elements of it are kind of questioning. You know, there's a lot of like discussion about family, why the family has broken up, all this kind of stuff. And it is interesting, but I don't think it's going to be more than a 3 stars. I am struggling a little bit because although it is a novel in verse, the way the poetry is written just feels incredibly truncated, and I'm just not enjoying it as much as I have enjoyed novels in verse previously. So yeah, I don't see it, unless it does something really dramatic, I don't see it getting higher than 3 stars. However, let me just swap arms for a sec because I did not move it closer to myself. You know, didn't plan ahead. I'm also 26 pages into this because I was listening to this whilst I was doing the food shop, and I know this is going to break my heart. I can just tell. And it's one of those things where I guess I kind of got the gist of the synopsis of what was going to happen, but already it is so much darker and more poignant than I could have expected. And I feel like this is far more likely to be a 5 stars than this one. So I'm enjoying them, but I'm hopefully going to be ticking off these two. I am currently listening to Becca's Patreon sprints, and then Lizzie and I are going to do some reading again this evening. But Lizzie and I have a cheeky challenge where we're trying to see who gets to 100 books first. And it was kind of an accident and kind of just me being a dickhead. So if I can get my 9 books read this weekend, then that's going to give me quite the head start on Lizzie, and she can be really mad about it, and then I can laugh. So yeah, carrying on these two, I will probably finish this one in the next sprint, and then I will finish this one afterwards, and then I can start some more. I thought it'd be nice and sunny, and now it's like so goddamn bright. That was probably a mistake, but I thought I would just update you quickly on my reading. So I actually found another novel in verse. that was tucked away because it's a graphic novel as well that I have, and this is Storm by Tim Minchin, and I have just kind of read this and then listened to the audio version of it, and basically this is Tim Minchin talking about a time when he went on a dinner party type thing with a friend of his and met this woman called Storm, and apparently it's like semi-based on real events, and it's just kind of like science but versus homeopathy and stuff like that. It's just a really good time, but I forgot I had this one, so I wanted to do this one really quickly because I could. And then obviously last night I finished Baby Teeth, which was the second of the Meg Rahan novels in verse, and whilst I did enjoy this more than I enjoyed The Deepest Breath, because The Deepest Breath got 3 stars because it was very cute but it was very simple, this one was 3 stars for different reasons. I thought it had a really good premise, but there was loads of stuff that just wasn't really followed through. There was just loads of stuff that wasn't really explained. This cat is just rubbing herself all up against me. I don't know why she's being so affectionate. I'm not mad about it, I'm just confused. So I did really like it. It was a really cool concept in the fact that it's like this vampire who is quite clearly a metaphor for like depression. Like she keeps just kind of taking and taking from her partner and not really giving anything back, and is kind of like struggling with stuff. All right, Jesus Christ, struggling with stuff like that, and just kind of like the toxicity of depression when you're in a relationship and stuff like that, which was really interesting. But there was just so much that felt really unresolved and so much that wasn't really explained, and it was a bit too ambiguous. And I think with poetry, because you're crafting it around language specifically as opposed to around plot, that was an issue for me, and that's what kind of stopped it from being a 4 stars. So on my list of things to do today, I do have a couple more novels in verse that I want to get to. However, Ali is doing her, on Hardback Order, is doing her 24-hour readathon, or 24-hour reading sprint of House of Sky and Breath, and I'm about 150 pages into that. And of course, because I've set myself the challenge to read lots of short books over a weekend, my natural instinct is to pick up the 800-page book that I've not finished, but I've been reading like 30 pages here and there for the last 2 months. So I'm probably going to cancel all my original plans and go and do that. I'm also going to go back inside because I can already feel myself burning. Yes, I put sun cream on, but I already feel myself burning. I hope you enjoyed seeing me in the sunshine. It'll never happen again. I'm going inside. Okay, so I'm just about done with my 3rd novel in verse of this vlog, and this is about a young child bride, basically, who becomes the Emperor's mistress. And it's really fucking sad, and like really saucy as well, and it's just weird. So she gets married at like 10 years old, and then she like meets the Emperor later and like becomes his mistress and stuff. And there are like some really visceral scenes, and this is one of those prime examples of like, because it's written in novel in verse, it's so much harder and hits so much harder than an actual novel would, because it's kind of condensed into more poignant language. And it is, by far of the 3 that I've read so far, and actually finished, because I am still working my way through Punching the Air, because I'm doing it as an audiobook, I'm not doing it whilst Lizzie is here hanging out with me. I really enjoyed that, because I don't even know if my camera will pick that up.
Probably won't.
Probably won't, just a little So it is my favourite of the 3, and it is really interesting, but it's powerful in a way that makes me deeply uncomfortable, which is never a bad thing, because I'm, you know, reading something that is uncomfy, you know, like Child Brides. But it definitely feels like a historical fiction, but because the language is so mixed up with traditional Latin, Pidgin Latin, and Cockney for some reason, it's like a really bizarre mix, and Bernardine Evaristo has a really strong ability to use all of the language in her repertoire, so I quite like that. But I will probably finish this. We're currently watching Ali from Hardback Order's sprints. It will probably take me less than a sprint to finish this one, and then I think I'm going to do a graphic novel because I just need a quick, easy finish, and then I will probably spend the rest of the evening reading House of Sky and Breath, and then I will crack on with the other novels in verse tomorrow because they are slightly longer, but they are all YA. I will only have YA novels in verse left, which will make it easier as well. And a couple of them are rereads, so again, I might skip those depending on how we get on. But yeah, really enjoying this. I will probably put this as like a 4 stars. I don't love it enough for it to be a 5 stars. But if it makes me cry, which it has the capacity to do, then it will be a 5 stars, because that's how that works. But yeah, I will catch up with you when I am on to the next one. Okay, so I'm about to do some filming, which is why I have tidied this particular section, but I have no idea what that was. I thought I would catch you up on the last 2 novels in verse that I read. So obviously I was reading Punch in the Air, I was doing that as an audiobook, and because I was hanging out with my flatmates and stuff, I was doing it in chunks. But eventually my flatmates got sick of hanging out with me and went back upstairs, so I was able to finish this one and The Poetex, which was a reread. Both of these got 5 stars because both of them made me cry. I didn't realise, for example, that this is based on real events, and whilst the character is fictitious, one of the authors, the Professor Yusuf Salam, is one of the kids who was arrested falsely for having been in a fight or killing someone, etc. And it became like a massive thing. It was like, they were called like the Central Park 5 or something. So that was really poignant and really sad, and it doesn't really feel at the end like there's any kind of justice served. It's a really hard one to read, because it very much leans into black trauma and pain. And The Poetex again made me cry. This is about a young girl who is desperate to kind of be who she wants to be and kind of fill in those blanks for herself with regards to religion and relationships and boys, and she is overtly sexualized by every man that comes into her life and by her mother, who basically treats her like a second-class citizen or a hoe bag because of her body when there's literally nothing she can do about it. And it's really, really sad and really, really poignant, and the audiobook is narrated by the author. So that, it just hit. I can't even say it hit different, because the first time I read it and it made me cry then. So then a second reading making me cry again, like it was just, oh my god, it was so good. So I had a nice little cry to myself yesterday afternoon. It is now Monday. I'm going to do some filming. I had a meeting this morning, and then I went and got my eyes tested. Turns out, because I've lost my glasses, right? I've left a pair at home back at my parents', and my other pair, I couldn't fucking tell you. I bought 3 originally, and now I have none. But to be fair, 2018 was the last time that I got my eyes tested, so those glasses have lasted me years. Having said that, I need to get some new ones. So I went to the opticians to get an updated prescription. It's exactly the same as the last prescription, so I didn't actually need to go. I spent £25 for someone to tell me that my eyes are exactly the same as they were before, so that's a plus. I'm gonna go do some filming now. I am going to probably listen to Clap When You Land as an audiobook whilst I'm doing some glasses shopping, and then as and when I've read some more novels in verse, I will catch up with you. I am not in the mood for novels in verse today. I had a really nice weekend of reading novels in verse. I got obviously 6 books read in total, including the graphic novel that I read, but I think I'm done now. So I know I've only got 3 left. I have the 2 Dean Atta ones, and I have Clap When You Land to go. I did also have Nikita Gill on there, but I've put that down somewhere and I don't know where that is. So I might read the 2 that I've not read before, if I do read any more. But we'll see. This isn't a full wrap up of the end, because I do think I will get to more. It just won't be today. But anyway, I will catch you up when I have some more to catch up with. Hello Bambinos, I thought I would just catch you up about this book. I was like, in the last clip, I know that I said that I would wrap up fully when I had finished, if I was going to read any more, and I would probably read the 2 books that I had not read yet first, and then see how I felt about Clap When You Land and The Black Flamingo. I'm annoyed at this book for so many reasons. So many reasons. Okay, well, I'm going to direct this at Danny, who is now downstairs, who is now there, so I can tell you how bad this book is. So I was concerned because the first 40 or so pages was just straight up internalised and blatant homophobia. Mac is the main character, the most selfish and conceited character I've met in a YA thus far. And what really especially annoys me is he has two best friends who are straight up homophobic towards him, and he's just like, haha, we've been friends for ages, and it's like, that's not okay. And then he meets this new girl, Maz, who's not a new girl. He knows exactly who she is, and she knows that she is cousins with the guy that he's fancied for ages, right? That is the person who, on the back of this, they're already together. So 60 pages in, they're still not together, which would imply they were going to be the main plot of the story. They're not. That's going to be the next guy. We haven't got to him yet. So he is spending all of his time with her to get to the cousin. And she is just like, hey, loyalty's really important to me. My friends are really important to me. And he's like, same. Also, where's your cousin? And like not paying any attention to her at all, which I find incredibly toxic anyway. And I get that teenagers can be selfish assholes, but it gives me the ick massively. And then she's just like, oh, I wish people would stop throwing themselves at my cousin. Like, it's really gross or whatever. And he's just like, your cousin though. And it's just like, look, she's made it really clear how uncomfy she is. And you're straight up just hanging out with her to get close to her cousin. That gave me the ick. And then the reason I'm ranting right here, right now, is because all of that aside, knowing that he is not, because I've spoiled it for myself, finding out that he is not going to end up with this guy that he is quite clearly obsessed with, and I'm saying obsessed because he meets the main character, like Maz's dad, and he's like, oh my god, it's Kay's uncle, and it's like, not everything has to be about Kay. Not everything. Anyway, Kay farts, right? He's hanging out with Mac, who's the main character, and Maz, and he farts, and Maz, his cousin, is like, that's fucking disgusting, and she leaves, and Mac just stays and laughs about it, and Maz is like, why did you stay? It's not disgusting, and he straight up says it's because Karim did it, because it was Karim's fart, and I've never liked someone enough to stick around for a fart. I'm sorry, I don't know if that's a thing. I'm kind of hate reading it now. I'm like I said, I'm 60 pages in now. And I'm mad about it.
I can tell.
But do you want to read it off to me?
Because right now.
No, I think I'm so disappointed because I love the Black Flamingo, but even like the writing effort in this feels so fucking low in comparison to the Black Flamingo, which was lyrically beautiful and was talking a lot about LGBT and homophobia and stuff like that. Like, that was a beautiful novel. And this, I was hoping this was to be a cute little romance, and everything I've seen thus far is just hella toxic, and it's made me really angry.
Is it a novel or is it in verse?
It's a novel in verse, yeah. Yeah. It's made me really fucking angry. So, there you go, guys. There's my catch-up. Oh, who's hoping the next one's better, because, like, this is shit. You know what? It feels right to film on my bed again. It's been a while. Okay, so it actually has been a while since I last caught up officially. Obviously, I have included my little rant about Only on the Weekends, and I have more to say on the subject. But even though it has been a week and I have taken a week off and I have finished a couple of other things that have absolutely nothing to do with this vlog whatsoever, I have, for the most part, read all of the books that I want to read regarding novels in verse, including all the ones that I had not read before. So I'm going to very quickly wrap them up for you, give you my general overall thoughts, try and avoid spoilers except for books that I don't like because I can't help myself, and then I'm going to let you carry on your merry way until I do another video, which I hope you enjoy. The ones that looked at moral dilemma, racism, LGBT as a kind of focal point were my favourites. That will be the general gist of this wrap up. I think there is something about novel in verse that really look at powerful subjects in a really meaningful way that is important, and I find myself, much like with non-fiction, leaning towards feminism and feminist topics when it comes to novels in verse. That's kind of how I want to be introduced to powerful topics that might be difficult to read in a standard novel, because I feel like they are more uncomfy, but I get more out of them, and they make me feel things. They make me feel things. I will start by saying that this one wasn't intended to be in this vlog initially, but it's still got a 4 stars. I still really enjoyed it. This, as I've said previously, is about a guy, to mention, going to dinner, having an interesting time, talking about someone who has completely differing opinions to him, but it has like a really nice moral thing at the end, and I quite enjoyed that, so it got 4 stars. I didn't end up reading Clap When You Land or The Black Flamingo, both of which have had 5 stars from me before, and again, I've said previously in this vlog that I trust myself that if I were to reread these, I would give them 5 stars. However, I do feel like at some point I need to reread The Black Flamingo because I DNF'd only on the weekends. And I have so many thoughts about this, but I will say I have thoughts coming from a perspective of being a white, straight person. So already my thoughts could be completely invalidated when it comes to a BIPOC LGBT book, and specifically when reviewing it. However, my main concern with this novel is that it is promoted as a cute LGBT romance, and it isn't. That's not what this book is at all. This is a book about racism, internalized homophobia. It's about a young boy who needs to be validated by the people that he's in a relationship with. Like, it has so many toxic things and toxic moments in it, which are kind of just glanced over, either for comedy's sake or because it's usually acceptable in a romance. And I just didn't like that. I found that really jarring. And like I said, if this book had been about racism and the fact that these 2 young boys who are in love are dealing with racism and homophobia together, that would have been one thing. But seeing how hard these characters work to get together in the first place, only to then find out that actually he's going to then start dating someone else, and then that's gonna like cause drama for his dad. Like, the whole thing could have been 3 separate books, and I would have read them. I would have read each book individually. I would have read the book about him being gay and being openly gay versus dating his closeted boyfriend, and them either coming out together or staying closeted, and the support that would have been required there, right? I would have read that book. I would have read volume 2, which was them dealing with racism and homophobia as a couple. Would have read the shit out of that. And then book 3, I would have read when actually he is forced to move away, which is no fault of his own, and he finds that actually the relationship he has already built isn't what it once was, right? But the fact that I got over 100 pages in and then decided I can't do it. I can't go through all of these things, all of these themes, all of these moments in one book. It's too much, because then I just don't care about those individual moments. And it was getting to the point where like my flatmates were telling me to DNF it, and I DNF like a trooper anyway, but my flatmates specifically were telling me to DNF because every time I opened it I was like, this fucking book, and I was just getting more and more frustrated, because Mac is a self-centered character. There's no getting away from the fact that Mac is a self-centered character, and I have no problem usually with messy characters or people having messy perspectives, right? Like, that's normal. People do that. My issue is he has this friend Maz who is cousin with the boy that he fancies. That is her identifier the entire fucking time. And even though she has conversations with him about socio-political things and loyalty and where she stands in her family and how she feels about certain things, and she understands the moral quandaries that he might be going through, and she openly tells him how frustrated she gets that every girl she introduces to her cousin throw themselves at him. And yet Mac spends every moment with her comparing everything she does to Mac, to Kay, who's the guy that he fancies, her cousin. And she introduces him at one point to her dad. And she's like, this is my dad, Omar. And in Mac's head, he goes, Karim's uncle. And I'm like, right, I get it. I get being an obsessed teenager. But I don't think I've ever fancied someone so much that I'm like, everything that's related to you, I relate back to you. Like, it was weird. It was borderline stalkery, and it wasn't romantic at all. And I didn't believe that Mac actually wanted Karim because he wanted Karim, because they had fuck all in common, right? They had nothing in common. Mac had nothing in common with his two best friends. He just hung out with them because he hung out with them. Like, there was nothing, they had nothing in common. And it just, the whole time, anytime his friends started getting even remotely nasty, they immediately jumped onto the homophobia and making jokes. The guy that he fancied started calling him Big Mac, and he was like, yeah, well, I am big, and that's fine. And then like 2 seconds later is feeling insecure about his body. And I was like, I need a little consistency. I need a little bit better pacing. So I then went to the reviews to see if like maybe I'm just being so harsh. Like maybe it's just that I have higher expectations, because I've read some romances recently that I've just fucking loved, right? So maybe I'm the problem, right? Maybe that's the case. And then the reviews were like, oh, it gets super fucking toxic because he then starts lying to his partner and starts like basically emotionally cheating on this person, and he ends up with the guy that he cheats with, not with the guy that he's been cheating on, which I don't know how I'd have felt either way. But the whole thing just had me really stressed, and I just didn't enjoy it. I didn't have a fun reading experience, because even if it was looking at topics that were important, it was doing it in a really toxic way, and I hated that. I hated that. And I know that this book looks at homophobia, right? I know that is one of the key themes of this. Both internalized and external homophobia is a key theme. I should have expected it in this, but there are so many moments where the main character lets certain things go. And like, there is literally a scene where his friends are like asking him questions. It's like the first 30 pages. His friends are asking him these really homophobic questions, and he just lets all of it go. He makes comments in his head like, this is not okay, but he never says anything ever. But then when Karim has an issue about coming out because he doesn't want the backlash from his family, he cannot fathom, he can't quite get there as to why he should put Karim's feelings first and not his. Like, and I just, ugh. And I know that's what people are like in real life. That's why I don't date. Oh god, it gave me the ick. It gave me the ick, and I was so disappointed because, like I said, I gave Black Flamingo 5 stars. It made me cry. It was beautiful. I DNF'd it. It was not good. I'm sorry. I feel bad just saying it, but no. Also, last night I finished The Girl and the Goddess. This one I did really enjoy. I think it was a shame because I know this came out before Great Goddesses, which is the one that I said was a collection of poetry, and it read very similar to that in the fact that it's a mixture of straight poetry, almost prose, and novel in verse, right? All kind of like mixed together. I really liked the kind of metaphor behind this, in that women should be able to stand up for themselves, and no matter what kind of is going on around them, they have this fierceness inside them. Nikita Gill is an avid feminist and is always talking about stuff like that. Things I wish I had known before I went into it, though, is there is straight up sexual assault of a 7-year-old in this. Like, and I didn't get any kind of trigger warnings about that. That just happened. It was just, all right. So I really could have done with someone telling me in advance that that was the case. And I guess my issue with that is it's not, like, it doesn't really feel resolved. At no point does she kind of like sit down and like talk about it. It's kind of just like her relationship with her mother kind of disintegrates, and it's her grandmother that kind of like brings her back to the family fold. And like, it was really hard. But I really like the fact that there are all these different metaphors about loving yourself, whether it's regarding your mental health, your beauty standards, whatever it is, building friendships. And I felt like it broke my heart when there were certain elements about the romance that's in this that fell apart. That made me feel really sad. But I thought overall it was really beautiful. I was very sleepy when I read it, so maybe I was being a bit harsh with the 3.5 to 4 stars. But yeah, I thought it was really good. Then we've got the two Meg Grahans. Obviously, I have briefly wrapped these up prior. I gave them both 3 stars, but for very different reasons. I will be unhauling both of those because I don't tend to keep books on my shelf that are lower than 3 stars because I just don't see the point. I've got too many fucking books anyway, so I need to get rid of some of them. So these will probably be going to Olivia, who did buy them for me in the first place, but she bought them for me on the understanding that when I'd read them, I would pass them back to her. So Olivia, they are coming your way. Obviously, you have a very cute exploring LGBT narrative here where it's a young girl kind of coming to terms with the fact that she likes girls, whereas in this one it is very much established that she likes girls. However, her relationship with them is incredibly toxic and it is used through the metaphor of vampires. I did enjoy them both. I just didn't enjoy them as much as I enjoyed others in this vlog. So now we come down to my 3 favourites of all time, probably novels in verse wise. Obviously Poet X made me cry again, so immediate 5 stars. The Emperor's Babe made me cry. I think I gave it 4.5 to 5 stars. And Punching the Air also made me cry, so it got 5 stars. And these 3 are the 3 that will absolutely be staying on my shelves. I will recommend these to anyone who wants to read some novels in verse. If you would like an entry level kind of like taster of novels in verse, definitely pick up the Poet X, and if you have Scribd, listen to the audiobook because it's just beautiful. I felt like the fact that all the conflict is essentially internalized, it makes very, very interesting contemporary. It looks at very contemporary themes. It does have trigger warnings for heavy religion and religious kind of persecution in the way that she's treated, also for sexual harassment, and I would argue there is some racism, like the way that she is spoken to by other people around her about her physicality and the fact that she is Latinx. I definitely think that is all worth knowing before you go in, but beautiful, and Clap When You Land would be a close second. Bernardine Evaristo, it's a short read, okay? It's a historical fiction. If you like historical fiction and you're looking for more adult novels in verse, I would absolutely recommend that. And then Punching the Air, I would absolutely recommend to everybody. I thought it was a really, really beautiful novel in verse. I don't know how to word this. There is a book box coming out that has an incredibly racist book in it. And I have emailed them to say that I think this book is going to be incredibly racist from what I've heard and what I've seen in like reviews and snippets that I've seen. And the response they gave wasn't great, but they're not cancelling the book. So let's see what happens there. Read this one instead. Just read this one instead. And I think we'll all be better off. So those are the 3. I will put the links to these 3 down in the description below if you would like to treat yourself. If you buy a book via Waypoint, it supports me and my content and I really appreciate it. If however, you've reached this point in the vlog and you just want to let me know you were here, please leave let's do a punching arm. One of those. Oh, I look beefy. One of those in the comments down below. And let me know if you have read any of these novels in verse and what you thought. Like I said, I am trying to do more vlog content, so bear with me on that. I am doing my best. But if you have any ideas for either themes or authors you want me to try and work my way through their backlist, which I have done before, but that is for Discord only at the moment, leave that in the comment down below as well. So those are the three things I need from you. That, and if you could like and subscribe, that'd be great. Other than that, I hope you have a nice day, and I'll see you next time.